G'day watchers, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm featuring yet another piece from, Ball Watch Company official railroad standard on this box here. Once again, this watch has been lent to me by my mate and local viewer and fan Graham, so thank you, shout out to Graham for yet another watch that he has lent me. So let's just get into this box. You've seen some of these boxes before if you follow the channel. So that's the internal box here, and there's a little drawer here, and I'll just show you. Typically you may have manuals. If I did have the manuals and warranty, that's where it might sit. All right, so that's the internal box, and then a little drawer here, and just show you the piece. So this is just a very solid kind of cardboard type of construction, but you know, there might be a bit of plywood under all that faux leather. So that's the watch itself. This particular piece comes with silicone rubber strap, which I don't tend to use. I think Graham does prefer to use this ones, but I don't tend to prefer to use that, so I prefer it on the bracelet. So let's just remove the watch from this cushion here. And that's really how it stays. And then underneath, again, you might choose to store the manuals here, but I think it is supposed to be stored in the other compartment. There's some bracelet links that I have removed from this to suit my particular wrists. So there's the watch itself. So guys, this in my hand here is the Ball Engineer Master 2 Skindiver 2. So the model is DM3108A. I'll put the full model number in the description of this video, of course, and links to any product that I can find for you guys to source. So overall, the MSRP listed is 2,800 USD. On retail, realistically, you can get this for around 2,200. That's what seems to be the going rate of this particular piece as far as I have found. The movement in here, so let's just move on to telling you about the movement, is actually ball caliber RR1103-C. So that is none other than an ETA 2824-2 base, and the -C really is for chronometer designation. So this is a Swiss chronometer. All the stats I'm going to put on the left here, not going to read it out. It does have a quick set date implemented in that cutout window at the 4:30 position for this particular watch. Now, is this purely a chronometer? I'm not really sure. You can see the rated accuracy for costs on the left there, but the superlative railroad standard is actually plus or minus 30 seconds per week, which is actually slightly under the outer limit of what a cross chronometer may perform to. And in the actual use, this watch is actually performing to plus 2 seconds per day. So it is actually regulated very, very well. You know, it's excellent regulation as far as I have seen this on the wrist and using it in the last week or so. Okay guys, moving on to the case here. So this case is 43 millimeters, right? So the actual case, if you measure the width at this position, is 43 millimeters. If you measure the bezel width, it actually comes up just a smidgen over 44 millimeters. That's using calipers that I have to measure that bezel. All right, the thickness is about 14.5 millimeters thick, and the lug width is an appropriate 22 millimeters for the lug width. Now, lug-to-lug distance for a steel watch, this is one of the largest ones that I've ever reviewed. I think for 54 millimeters is what this comes up to between my thumbs there. So it's a very large lug-to-lug distance that I've seen on this watch. Overall weight with the metal bracelet on, with the 3 links I've removed, is actually 192 grams, so very substantial. It definitely will not let you forget that it's on your wrist at that weight. Okay, finishing then. Moving on to finishing now. Okay, let you see the top of the lugs there. It's actually radial brushed on the top there. It does have a polished bevel, so hopefully you can see that bevel there is actually polished. And then moving on to the side is actually longitudinal brushing. And then the bottom side of the lugs, hopefully you can see that there, it's actually polished bottom side of the lugs there. Okay, so that's sort of finishing. The case back is very interesting here, so let's just see if I can capture it in nice lighting. Okay, so very deeply engraved case back there that says US Coast Guard Reserve, United States Coast Guard Reserve, with that insignia. I don't know much about this. I think that's harkening back to the diving roots of this particular model. So the Ball Skindiver original watch was in 1962. Made specifically for diving purposes. Around that era, I understand that diving particularly was becoming more and more popular. So I think that that's really what that is a reference to. So with that deep engraved caseback, which is a very clearly screw-down construction, and a screw-down crown, of course, for this dive watch, the rating is actually 500 meters, or you can see there on the face of the watch, 1650 feet water resistance. All right, and at that depth, they have appropriately implemented an automatic helium escape valve in that position there. So, I think that's not ridiculous for them to do that. If you truly were going to take this watch to those record depths, that actually does come into play in terms of function and protecting the buildup of helium gas from pushing the glass off the watch. That's just really what the function is here. Moving on to the dial then. So let's let you see this particular dial. So this is a matte black dial. I call it matte black. There's a very, very fine texture. If you can see it, you might need to really hold up very close to the eye to see that. But there's a very fine texture on that dial there. It does have printed text all over. And in this case, I don't mind it. And it's kind of like making it simple, getting rid of all superfluous details to just make the basic key information available to the eye, just the critical information, in terms of the time and the hour indices. Right, the flange there you can see is actually indented in this watch. Right? It's deep indentations on the side there to accommodate those double tritium gas tubes. So 15 double tritium gas tubes, 12 for the indices, and 3 along the hour, minute, and second hands there. So that's really where those 15 tubes are sitting for this fantastic ball illumination. In this case, the bezel also has a blue lume. I think it's BGW9, but they haven't actually stated explicitly. But I'll put a lume shot here to let you see how bright these gas tubes are in the dark. And they really are fantastically bright. After the first 10 or 15 minutes, the tritium gas tubes really blows everything out of the water in terms of lume, superluminova, or lume bright, as you may prefer. Okay, so on top of the case is actually a 120 click unidirectional dive style bezel. As I mentioned, there's luminous markings on this bezel insert, and that bezel insert is actually ceramic. All right, just let you hear the clicks now. All right, very, very solid. It's just, the build is, without question, there is a very nice solidity about the build and the bezel feel here. That's really what it feels like to me. Okay, so on top of the bezel is a flat sapphire crystal. So you can see that crystal there is flat with anti-reflective coating on the inside. Additional features of this particular case, they've stated, is 5,000 G's shock resistance, and then also anti-magnetic resistance, 4,800 angstrom per meter, which is actually the same as what is required for ISO 6425. Now, of course, these Swiss watches don't tend to be ISO 6425, but many suspect that if you subject them to the standards, they probably would either meet them or surpass them. Okay, that's the description of the case. Now, on to the bracelet. And the bracelet is something to be commented on as well. So this is an 11-piece per link, kind of like this steel link / mesh. It's almost a mesh, but not quite. These are all individually machined links, right? So very, very nice. And then it's got screw fastening. Okay, so there's the screws to adjust the links. And then just show you the back here. Of course, it's going to have solid end links. Okay, there's end links there, and then the clasp is also very solid. Look at those arms, look at the clasp body here. It is actually just a friction clasp, but it's pretty solid friction, and it's got this very nicely machined locker there with that kind of ball railroad that has been added onto it. So very nice and solid. And then just to show you as well, it's got a nice solid, right, dive extension. Right, if you're going to use that, that is just as solid as anything I've ever seen in terms of a dive extension. Okay, so that's really the description of the watch. Let's just put it on for the wrist shot now. Very pleasing to be fast with this metal bracelet, and there we have it, the Ball Engineer Master 2 Skindiver 2 on my 17 centimeter wrist, and with this lug-to-lug distance of 54, this is by anyone's measure too large for me to wear. It is actually a huge watch. So look at that on the side, 14 millimeters high, just as a reminder. That's how the bracelet sits on the hand, and that's how it looks like on the wrist. Too large for me, but I'm just reviewing this for you guys to enjoy and have a look at this particular piece. Okay, so what have I noted to be the real positives about this watch? Well, look, I think it's very much a modern design, right? There are very modern cues here, the tritium, the ceramic, all that. But it's got vintage cues to the original 1962 watch. Now, of course, the 62 watch won't be a 43 millimeter monster like this one, but kind of the design cues of the dial, the overall feel of the watch, the printing, that's where it's taken from, in my understanding. It's got absolutely solid ball style build and great features. So just to go through them again, the quality finishing, right, really is great quality. That fantastic bracelet with a very solid clasp there, Swiss made COS chronometer, and it's got a ceramic insert, and not to mention, of course, the tritium gas tubes, which are really a Ball signature. They really do that for all their watches. So, I really think there are a lot of great features in this watch, but for over $2,000, effectively an ETA 2824 movement, the value proposition starts to become a bit doubtful. I think many people would have doubts putting down that much for a watch with a ETA basic movement, effectively a basic movement, definitely nowhere near an in-house movement. Let me know what you think about the value proposition of this particular piece. Yes, it does have the quality, it does have the feature suite that is very strong, but the asking price is substantial as well for this particular piece. And then I'll also say that it is big and it is heavy, and at this size, particularly with that lug-to-lug distance, it's definitely not suitable for many people. It's definitely not suitable for me. My mate Graham, he can carry it because he's got a much bigger wrist than me, at least 2 centimeters, or in fact a whole inch larger than my particular wrist. But many people won't have a wrist that size, and therefore this technically really isn't suitable for many. So guys, there we go. That's my thoughts on this Ball Engineer Master 2 Skindiver 2 watch. Quite popular, a lot of kind of blog reviews out there, but not too much on YouTube. So let me know what you think, guys, your thoughts on this particular watch or Ball as a company, particularly if you own any Ball watches. Very much like to hear your thoughts. The gas tubes are fantastic. I think really the best lume you can get in terms of lasting as long as you ever need it to. It lasts for years. So guys, if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. I put out new content every week, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys again next time.